series that's selling as Outcast. Once a week, we'll be giving you a bit of Mafia history. That's right. Every week, I'll be covering a special topic. When you think of women in Mafia, you think of the wives, the daughters, and maybe even the comadres or the girlfriends, the side chicks, the jump offs, whatever you want to call them. But in this video, I'm going to break down the 5 most powerful Mafia women in Mafia history. This one was a little difficult because I had to step outside of the Italian-American realm because not too many women have risen to the heights, but they're there. Even though there's not too many of them, they're there. But we went into some ethnicities so I can get at least 5 for you. So here we go. The 5 baddest women Mafia bosses, or at least women that worked with Mafia bosses in Mafia history. Number 5, Joey Miami, or Joanne Gallo. Joanne Gallo worked directly for Santo Trafficante Jr. Santo Trafficante was the boss of Florida. He sat on the commission in the United States during the 1970s and 1980s. He was one of the most powerful Mafia figures in the United States during that time and known all over the world. She actually grew to such heights, she actually became a liaison for Trafficante to Noriega, Pablo Escobar, and Hyman Lorner. She fed Santo Trafficante information from what was going on in the street and what was happening when she did pickups and deliveries. She would actually deliver and pick up large sums of money and large sums of other goods for Trafficante directly. Trafficante actually owned a Learjet and a Cessna, which was at a local airport. And when they had to get goods through the airport, she would actually bribe the employees at the airport with a lot of money so that they can get on the plane and just basically take them to where they got to go. She actually said in an interview that she would strap the money around her waist because they would check your bags. And back then, you know, they didn't have like that walk through where you see everything on your body. So they would check your bags, and she would strap whatever goods or money to her waist, and she would kind of walk right in. But if it was other than that, it was more than that, then she had to bribe the airport employees to basically get on his Cessna and do what she's got to do. She actually took part in money laundering, extortion, and embezzlement. Now, here's the best part of Joey Miami. She is alive and well, living in Florida right now, and she does interviews. And it just so happens that I interviewed her. And it's a tremendous interview. And the link is going to be in the description area so you can go see that interview. Also, she did a great interview. There is a streaming service called Plex TV, Plex TV. And on Plex TV, there is a portion of the channel that's called Mafia Channel or Mafia History Channel, something to that effect. And my good friend, and also a former made man of the Colombo crime family, is a host of a talk show on there, and he interviews all different types of Mafia figures, police officers, anybody involved in kind of organized crime during this, from 70s, 60s, 70s, all the way up till today. And she was on there. It was a tremendous interview. That's how I found out who she was. And then I contacted her and she came on my channel and I interviewed her. So she is in number 5 because she is the only woman I know that worked directly for a boss that powerful. Number 4, Virginia Hill. Virginia Hill worked for some serious Mafia bosses during the 1930s and 1940s. Mafia bosses such as Lucky Luciano, Tony Accardo, and Frank Costello. She did some things like money laundering, Mexican drug trafficking. She fed bosses a ton of information of what's going on during these deals or on the street, so on and so forth. She had a reputation of being very provocative, and she would use her sexuality to actually secure deals for these bosses, such as the Mexican drug trafficking into the United States. She would secure deals with the Mexican drug lords and the bosses of Cosa Nostra in the United States. She would reveal body parts and seduce them, possibly sleeping with them. We don't know for sure, but she did have that reputation. We do know she had a love affair with Bugsy Siegel and Joey Adonis. Some people say that actually led to the demise of Bugsy Siegel, but she is number 4 on the list because she worked with some serious bosses. Number 3, Maria Licciardi, also known as the Little One or the Princess. Maria Licciardi was a head of a mafia clan in Naples, Italy. After her husband was killed and her brothers were imprisoned, she took over the clan. She fought a war and actually was able to negotiate end the war so profits would begin again. Apparently, she was extremely ruthless. She was into drugs, extortion, and prostitution. She would keep the prostitutes drugged, and if they wouldn't perform or couldn't perform, they were murdered. In 1999, a shipment of heroin came in from Istanbul. Supposedly, this heroin was so strong that it actually was killing addicts all over Naples. The police cracked down on the mafia in Naples, and she was convicted. After she was convicted, it was said that she was continuing to run things from her jail cell. Number 2, Sister Ping. Sister Ping actually ran an organized crime group in Chinatown in New York City. She was responsible for trafficking more than 3,000 illegal immigrants from China. She would actually charge $40,000 per immigrant. The voyage took 100 days, and it would go from China to Guatemala to New York. Supposedly, this was extremely dangerous, or many people actually died during the voyage. During the 1980s and 1990s, it was said that she was worth $40 million. She was finally convicted for immigrant smuggling and died in prison in 2014. She was 65 years old. The number 1 mafia woman boss in mafia history is none other than Griselda Blanco. If you have not seen the documentary about her called Cocaine Cowboys, I suggest that you watch it. I've watched it actually 3 times. That's how good it is. She was known as the Godmother or the Black Widow. She was known as the Black Widow because she murdered her first 3 husbands. You would think after the second husband, like, be a red flag for the third guy to marry, but whatever. Her reign was during the 1970s and 1980s in Florida. She was supposedly the first billionaire criminal. She made $80 million a month smuggling cocaine from Colombia to the United States. She actually enjoyed seeing her victims tortured. She even was convicted of murdering a 2-year-old. And apparently she was responsible for the deaths of more than 2,000 people. She seems more like a sociopath than a mob boss. But apparently she was killed in Medellin, Colombia. Somebody on a motorcycle shot her in the head and kept on going. I don't normally do this, but I had to on this occasion. I am including an honorable mention. The honorable mention goes to Stephanie Sinclair, the queen of numbers in Harlem. She actually dominated the numbers racket during the 1920s into the 1940s and made a fortune doing it. She employed famous criminal Bumpy Johnson as her chief enforcer. She was actually able to negotiate with Lucky Luciano to keep all numbers competition out of Harlem with the exception of her, and that included Dutch Schultz and his gang. After she retired, she handed the whole thing over to Bumpy Johnson, and supposedly she actually retired a very wealthy woman, and she died peacefully in 1969. Well, I hope you enjoyed that segment, but make sure you like and subscribe and share this because I'm coming back once a week. We're going to be doing some segments on mafia history.